Everyone said intelligent design is creationism relabeled. Never in our wildest dreams, though, did we think that this would actually be recorded in paper in a way that could be documented in a court case.
And that became probably our best single piece of evidence at trial.
Barbara Forrests vittnesmål var ett starkt belägg för att skolstyrelsen i Dover ville ha med religionen i naturkunskapsundervisningen. När Forrest jämförde utkasten till Of Pandas and People upptäckte hon att författarna uppenbarligen gjort ändringarna i en hast.
In cleansing this manuscript, they failed to replace every word properly. I found the word creationists, and instead of replacing the entire word, they just kind of did this and got design proponents with the C in front and the ISTS in the back from the original word.
So the correct term for this transitional form is co-design proponentsists. And everyone now refers to this as the missing link between creationism and intelligent design. You've got the direct physical evidence there of a transitional fossil.
Genom ett citat från en intervju i en kristen tidskrift lät Barbara Forrest, en av intelligent designrörelsens egna ledare, komma till tals. Paul Nelson.
The question he was asked was, is intelligent design just a critique of evolutionary theory, or does it offer something more? Does it offer something that humankind needs to know? And this is his answer, quote, "Easily the biggest challenge facing the ID community is to develop a full-fledged theory of biological design. We don't have such a theory right now, and that's a real problem. Without a theory, it's very hard to know where to direct your research focus. Right now, we've got a bag of powerful intuitions and a handful of notions, such as irreducible complexity, but as yet, no general theory of biological design," end quote.
The evidence she brought into that courtroom really exposed the hypocrisy of the intelligent design movement in a way that's irrefutable. She used their own language, things that they had written and said, to show that they themselves knew that this isn't science.
I rätten fick Michael Behe frågan hur han skulle definiera begreppet vetenskap.
Dr. Behe, using your definition, intelligent design is a scientific theory, correct?
Yes.
Under the same definition, astrology is a scientific theory, using your definition, correct?
Using my definition, scientific theory is a proposed explanation which focuses or points to observable physical data and logical inferences. There are of science, which we now think to be incorrection. Yes, astrology is in fact the propagation of light, and many well.
The ether theory of light,
that is
clear. Definition. The definition that sweeps in intelligent design, astrology.
That's correct.
When you loosen the rules around what is science, the supernatural, permit deities, you are really destroying what makes science important to civilization has witnessed over the last 400 or 500 years. You're going back before the scientific revolution. And, that's a pretty scary thing.
Galileo förvisade övernaturliga förklaringar från
the idea was responsible for the traits that we have, but one couldn't. That was also initially regarded as supernatural as well. So it's not that supernaturalism hasn't been part of science. In fact, it has been, and it's often led to very fruitful results. And it seems that the ignore or marginalize tree.
Men Barbara Forrest uppgav i rätten att intelligent design inte är vetenskapligt. Klartext i ett från Discovery Institute.
Goals are listed quite clearly in strategy document, about 9 years, 98. Completely all of the effects which they think are uniformly negative. They want to completely change American culture back to what they believe is its proper foundation. They want every life to be governed by their particular preferences, and very clear about that in this document.
Enligt Wedge, eller Kiel-dokumentet, såg Darwin inte människor som moraliska och andliga varelser utan som djur, vilket gjorde att folk övergav objektiva moralbegrepp. Dokumentet för fram en ambitiös handlingsplan för att förhindra förloppet. Målet är att etablera teorin om intelligent design som den dominerande vetenskapen och att få teorin att genomsyra vårt religiösa, kulturella, moraliska och politiska liv. Även om Wedge-dokumentet inte är författat av Philip Johnson så är det en utväxt av en bredare policy som han har formulerat under titeln Wedge-strategin.
I know it can be made to sound like something sinister and conspiratorial, but the wedge strategy, as I've explained it, is quite simple and innocent. When you use a wedge to split a log, you start with the sharp edge of the wedge. My job is to be the sharp edge of the wedge, to use my academic credentials and legal abilities to get some hearing for the proposition that there really is something fundamentally wrong with the Darwinian story. But I can't answer all the questions that arise. And so we need other people to form the thick edge of the wedge to take on the questions that do require scientific expertise.
Med hjälp av Michael Behe och andra hoppas Johnson att Wedge-strategin ska kullkasta det han uppfattar som de negativa följderna av 150 år med Darwins teori.
The Darwinian story, when it became accepted, had a huge cultural impact. And if that story were discredited, then the cultural impact would be reversed, and there would be cultural changes in the other direction as well.
There is something outrageous about such a huge body of evidence being put together, then being confirmed in all kinds of other scientific disciplines, particularly genetics, and having other people just sort of deny it for reasons that have nothing to do with truth. And this became apparent during the trial. And then you began to look towards the judge and think, how is this guy going to get out of this? Because here he is, he is a Republican, he's been appointed by George W. Bush, who has said that he thinks the jury is out on evolution and both theories should be taught. And you began to think, what is this poor guy going to do?
Vilka motiv Discovery-institutet, Intelligent Design-rörelsen och Pandabokens författare än hade, så måste domare Jones koncentrera sig på vilka motiv skolstyrelsen i Dover hade.
Mr. Buckingham, I'd like to show you what has been identified as Exhibit P145. You'll need to look at your monitor.
The book that was presented to me for biology was laced with Darwinism from the beginning to the end.
William Buckingham is head of the curriculum committee for the Dover School District. He's also a board member. He strongly believes creationism needs to be taught in the classroom.
My opinion that it's okay to teach Darwin, but you have to balance it with something else, such as creationism. This was back in the very early days of the intelligent design thing. And don't you know, I could not think of the words intelligent design. I just couldn't. The camera's rolling, so I say creationism. In hindsight, I should have said nothing at all, but I said creationism.
I was like a deer caught in the headlights of a car, and I misspoke. Pure and simple. I made a human mistake.
Freudian slip, right, Mr. Buckingham?
I wouldn't say a Freudian slip. I would say a human mistake.
Och det var inte Buckinghams enda misstag. Både Buckingham och Bonsall hade i förhör sagt att de inte visste vem som skänkt 60 exemplar av Pandaboken till skolan.